What is up, folks? In this video we're going to talk about TradeStation and how we can set it up to look exactly like I have my scalping dashboard set up here. I'm going to go through all the different features I have, all the different charts, the orders, the level 2, the time and sales, as well as a couple tidbits that I had learned along the way. So this is going to give you the full run through on how to set up TradeStation and make it look just like I have it here. All right, so first step is going to be to create a new workspace. Now this, what you're seeing here, is a workspace. So to create a new one, we're going to come right behind my head here. We're going to go click this plus arrow, and now I have a blank workspace. Now the first thing we're going to do is add some things to our workspace. So I'm going to come up to File, New Application, and let's start with a chart. So I'm going to go to Chart Analysis, and now we have a nice little chart here. It's going to show your orders. If you don't want your orders to be shown, you can go to Settings, Account, Orders and Positions, and just uncheck this box. All right, so now my orders are hidden, and I'm just going to take this chart and we're going to put it up in the top left here, because remember we're going to make it look just like my active trader window here. So up in the top left there is perfect. The next thing that we need is a larger chart, so I'm going to go up and add another one of those. Okay, so I've got my new chart here. If I want to add volume to this chart, I'm going to come up to Studies, and we're going to add a study. And we're going to select Volume Average. Now, I'm sure there's other volume studies that you can add. I use Volume Average. I know this looks a little different, but that's because I've edited the colors. But we'll go through how to do that later in the video. Now, when I change this chart to a different ticker, let's say Apple, I want this chart to also change because this chart is set to the daily time frame. So I want to see what the daily looks like every time I switch the ticker over here. So how we're going to do that is link by clicking S, and it's going to be green. And then we're going to click S over here and do green as well. So now these are linked. If I change this to Apple, this one will also change, and vice versa. All right, next thing we're going to do is add the orders window, which I put down in the bottom left, which is behind my head right now. So again, we're going to go File, New Application, and we're going to click on Trade Manager. Okay, so now we see all of our orders. I'm going to put this down in the bottom left. And this is going to show me all of my orders here. If I just want to see the filled ones, which is what I usually have it on, I'm just going to click Filled Orders there. All right, next piece of the pie is the matrix. So let's do New Application again and go to Matrix. All right, this one looks a lot different, I know, than the one that I have on my other screen, but that's because I've made a bunch of adjustments to it, and I'm going to show you guys how to make those same adjustments. But for now, let's just put it where it belongs. I'm going to shrink it down. But first, we're going to need to get rid of these columns right here. We don't need these to be as big as they are. In fact, I don't even use the volume bars or the volume columns. I don't use the open P&L. So let's get rid of those. And how we're going to do that is by right-clicking anywhere on here, hit Settings, Columns, and then Detail. And now we can select which ones we want to see and the order in which they show up. So I'm going to remove open P&L. I'm going to remove orders. We'll remove volume bars and volume as well. I'm going to hit OK, so you can see those things are gone. Now we just have the bid size, the price, and the ask size. And then we have a bunch of stuff up here, which I don't really need that stuff either. So I'm going to right-click, go to Settings, Columns, and then Quote Bar. I don't need to know the symbol. Sometimes I like to know my active position, so I'm going to keep position. I don't care about last or next change. In fact, let's start from the bottom. Axis, account number, no. Quantity, I'm not sure what quantity is. We'll just leave it. I'm going to get rid of a bunch of these. Okay, for now it's just position and quantity. And I'm going to hit OK there. Okay, so now we've just got those two things there. And we're going to shrink this down. Okay. The other thing that I have on mine, if I could flip back over, is this trade bar. So to do that, we're going to right-click, do Settings, and then click Trade Bar. And now you'll see the trade bar pops up, and this is just going to allow us to set the quantity of shares that we want to buy if we're buying on the matrix, and I will show you how to do that as well as we come back to the matrix. All right, next piece is going to be the level 2. So I'm going to go to File, New Application, and this time we're going to select Market Depth. All right, now we have our market depth. I'm going to right click, go to Settings, and turn off the trade bar. I don't need that. Right click again, go to Settings, go turn off the order status bar. Yes, we're going to turn off that too. Settings, quote bar, I don't need that. Settings, turn off the summary pane, I don't need that. And finally, now we just have what most people would consider to be just the level 2. And I don't really need the time or really the ID, so I'm going to turn those features off as well. We're just going to keep the bid and the size. So I'm going to go to Settings, Columns, Detail pane, and we're going to take away ID as well as time, and boom. Now we've got a nice looking level 2. Let's shrink this down a bit. Now, unfortunately, I haven't figured out how to move this middle column. So we're stuck with a slightly larger column on the right versus the left, but it is what it is. And I'm just going to put that right up there. Perfect. Okay, so that's our level 2. Next step is going to be the time in sales. So let's go File, Application, and then time in sales down here. Let's click that. Perfect. Now again, some things we're going to have to turn off. Let's right click, Settings, and we're going to turn off the quote bar entirely. And then again, there's not a lot of things that we need to be shown, such as the condition. I don't need the exchange, the size I want, the price that I want, and then the time and type I don't really care about either. So let's get rid of all of those headers. So I'm going to right click, go to Settings, Columns, and then this is the detail. We're going to get rid of time, type. We're going to keep price and size, and then exchange and condition we're going to remove, and boom, all good there. All right, so now that we have all these applications on the screen, the next step is going to be to go through each of them individually. I'm going to talk about some tricks and tips that I've learned for each of them, as well as how to style them to get them to look closer to what you saw earlier on my active trader window. All right, the first one we're going to start with is the chart. And on my charts, I don't use tons of indicators, tons of studies, mainly just VWAP and a EMA, a 9 EMA. But for the sake of brevity, I'm just going to add VWAP, and I want to show you a little trick on how to change the calculation of VWAP to make it closer to Thinkorswim's, because you'll notice if you add VWAP to your charts in TradeStation, it's actually different from Thinkorswim's, and it's because of the way that it's calculated. So I'll show you how to change that. All right, so to add VWAP, we're going to come up to Studies. We're going to go to Add Study, and then we're going to do VWAP, Estimated. And let's hit OK. Now we've got these funky lines, so let's go edit this study. We're going to do Edit Studies, VWAP, Customize, and let's go to Inputs, and let's turn off those upper and lower bands. So to do that, we have these two options here, plot upper band as well as plot lower band. So let's set those to false. And we'll hit OK. Now you should see your upper and lower bands are gone. Another way to easily get back to the study and edit it is just click the line and then double click it like that. And okay, we're back into the edit window. Now what I want to do here is edit the calculation for the VWAP. I think by default it's actually at 1, and this restart condition, let's set it to 2, and now this will calculate very similar to Thinkorswim. And lastly here, if you want to change the color of your chart at all, maybe make it similar to whatever platform you just came from, right? We can click on these candlesticks, then double click, and if you come to Style, we can style our candlesticks, make them any color that you want. You can do it for the up body candles as well as the down body candles, as well as even the wick. So pretty nice there. Now I'm going to change the volume graph down here to have green for the up bars. So let's double click that. And this one's a little different for the up color. I have to actually put in a color. I have to type one in. So I'm going to type in green and hit OK. And now my up candles, my up volume candles are now green. If you'd like to be able to use hotkeys to draw trend lines, such as this, or a price level such as this, we can set that up by right-clicking, going to Settings, and going to Hotkeys. And now we can do Drawing, and just come down to a horizontal line. So this is going to give us a price level. You can click in here and then assign a new hotkey. Right now mine is set to Control H. And then once you do that, just don't forget to click Assign down here, and then you're all set there. So that's horizontal line. I think trend line would be down here. So here's trend line. I have that mapped to Control T. Again, just click in here, do your hotkey command, and then click Assign down here. A nice little trick when you're on the chart, you can just type any symbol that you want, and it will automatically pop up this command line thing. So if I just type ENSC, right, you can see ENSC is typed in there. If I hit enter, it's just going to pop over to that chart. Another nice thing is I'm actually on the 1 minute chart right now, and I can adjust my time frames up here. If I want to see more sessions, I think I'm only seeing the regular session now, but if I wanted to see 24-hour data or US stock with pre and post market, you can click those and see those extended sessions. I think I have mine set to 24-hour, I believe. Another thing you can do though is if you don't want to come up here and select 5 minute or 60 minute, you can just hit 5. And now we're on a 5 minute chart. So you can see this is what the 5 minute chart looks like, all of that extended hour data. And then we can even come down into seconds, which is really where I think TradeStation shines. This is not a feature that's on all platforms. And this is a 15-second chart, but shit, we could go down to a 1 second chart. So I can type 1. And now we're looking at 1 second bars. All right, let's pop over to the matrix now. So we're going to do a bit of customization to make it look like how mine looks in the active trader workspace here. So you can see mine looks pretty different. And let's pop back over to ours. So a couple of things we're going to do. First is we're going to right click, go to settings, and then window. And we're going to have size divided by 100. Now the reason I check this is because there's a lot of zeros when it's not checked. You know, there's 600 shares being traded there. You can see up here at $5, there's 6,700, right? But I don't want to see all those zeros. I just want to see 67. So I'm just going to go ahead and click size divided by 100. If you don't want that, that's fine. You don't have to check that. And we're going to hit OK. And now all of these are divided by 100. And we can also see in parentheses the number of orders that are making up what is on the bid and the ask. So in this case, on the ask at $5, looks like we had 3 there before it jumped away. All right, now let's go and style the matrix. Very similar to how I have it on Active Trader Custom. In fact, in this workspace, I tried to get it as close to TD Ameritrade as possible because that's what I was used to as I came over to TradeStation. So let's see how we can do that. Let's go into settings. Let's go to window, and let's go to first font. Okay, now font, the font is kind of small by default, so let's bump that up to 10 and see what that looks like. Okay, that's a little bit bigger. I do like that. Go to settings, window, and then color/style. Now we have a lot of options. We can basically configure every little piece, every color of this matrix. So the ask is going to be our red column over here. So the ask inside is basically what is the current ask. The ask size with value is basically the ask that I can see. So here you can see the asks that are just above what the current ask is. They have value. So we're going to give them a foreground of white and a background of, we're going to give them a dark red. Actually, we're going to select our own color. Make it a little bit darker. Something like that. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay, and then the ask inside, this one's going to be a little bit lighter. but I don't want it too light, so we'll just keep it like that. Foreground's going to be white. The ask size without value, I want this one to be pretty dark. I think maybe even darker than what it is now. So let's go to custom, and yeah, let's bring that down a bit. Perfect. And now let's do the same thing for the bid. So this is the bid inside. This is going to be the actual bid. We're going to want this one to be brighter, but not too bright. So we'll go with a green like that. The foreground's going to be white. Actually, we're going to make this one a little bit darker. Something like that. Okay. Bid with value, same deal. Foreground's going to be white. And let's make this darker. Something like that. And then without value, this is going to be really dark. Super dark green, basically almost black. Foreground's going to be white. Cool. So we'll see how that looks in a second. The other one that I want to edit is, scrolling down, the price traded versus the price not traded. So this is going to give you an idea of if we've traded to these prices in pre-market or today at all. So if it's outside of current price, I want the foreground to be white, but I want this to be a grayish color. Make it a little darker than that. Something like that. So we're going to do the same deal for the not traded. I want the not traded to basically look the same. I think that's close enough. Close enough. We're going to make the foreground white. And then for the price traded, this one's going to be just a black with a white foreground. Okay, let's hit OK there. See what that looks like. Not bad. So we got pretty close. I think this looks pretty good. You can play. Next thing I want to show you how to do is how to place orders using the matrix. So for most of my orders, I'm placing them using hotkeys, which I'm going to show you how to do later in the video. But sometimes I want very specific prices filled either on a buy market or a limit order, and I place them using the matrix. So first step is to select your order type up here. Auto limit / stop is going to place a limit order if it's below the current price. Otherwise, it's going to place a stop buy order if it's above the current price. Whereas limit stop limit is going to place a limit below the current price or a stop limit above the current price. So how that works, if I scroll way up here, hopefully I don't get filled, we'll just do like one share in case I do. A stop limit, you're going to click once and then you're going to click again. And now if price goes above 627, I will be entered into a position as long as I can get filled in these 3 cents. Above that, I won't get filled. So that's what a stop limit order is going to do. If you're looking to trade in the pre-market or post-market, you're going to have to come in over here and set the duration to day plus. Otherwise, day just works perfectly fine. As far as routing goes, intelligent works for me, is probably going to work for you as well. If you want to do a bracket order, they have tons of options for bracket orders. So I'm going to show you how to do that right now. We're going to attach an OSO, an order something order. And I'm going to drop this down, and this gives you tons of options for what type of bracket you want to place. This first one is going to be 1 limit and 1 stop. Second is going to be 1 limit and 1 stop limit. So it's a stop loss, but again, just like I showed you in that example, on the upside, same thing works on the downside. For example, like if price goes below $5, I'm only willing to sell if I can sell within $5 to $4.95. If it gaps below that, I don't want to sell. I'll wait for it to come back. I'll bag hold this until I die. Okay, so we're just gonna, for brevity, we're gonna do a 1 limit, 1 stop, and I'm gonna click these dots. And now I can set what my offset is gonna be. So in this case, we'll say it's gonna be a 1-to-1 trade, $10 to the downside, and then $10 to the, or 10 cents to the upside, 10 cents to the downside. We'll just hit OK. And if I come down here to 450, and I place this order, now I will have sells up at 460 as well as 440 if I'm filled at 450. Now you can't see this right here because I don't have the order column selected, but let me add that just so you can see what I'm talking about. In fact, I do like having the order column shown, so we're going to go back and add this. We're going to add orders. That's going to go at the beginning. We're going to move that up. So now as I come back down, we can see that my order is at 450. My sell order, assuming that this one gets filled, will be up at 460, and my stop loss will be down at 440. If you just want to buy market or sell market, they give you options to do so here. So whatever this quantity is, you're just going to hit this button and you will buy market. Likewise, as far as shorting market. And finally, there's this little thing down here which I don't use. I don't really know what it is. So I'm going to go to settings and uncheck order status bar, and that will get rid of that down. All right, moving on, we have the level 2 in the time and sales. I'm going to go through how to style the time and sales, and then I will let you do the level 2 on your own. It's very similar, so you shouldn't have any problems there. First thing we're going to do is right click, go to settings and window. You can do this size divided by 100 if you want. I actually don't like having size divided by 100 for my time and sales. I don't know why, but I'm going to keep this unchecked for now, and we'll go over to color and uncheck or unenable all these other tabs here. So I'll go to trends, uncheck enable. Same with corrections and subtypes, unenable those. And then these are the only ones that you need to care about. Now, for me, I like my time and sales really in my face. I want to see these colors flashing in my peripherals because I'm not staring at the time and sales. I'm really just paying attention to what's, the colors that are streaming down the screen. So it needs to be very bold and in my face. So what we're going to do is above ask is going to be bright green background. Foreground will be, I don't know if I have it white or black. We'll just choose black for now. At the ask is still going to be, we'll have it be black foreground, still very, very green. At the bid is going to be a white foreground and a nice bright red. Below bid, same deal, nice bright red, white foreground. And then between the bid and the ask, we're going to have this be white with a black foreground. And before I hit OK here, I'm going to adjust the font size because it's kind of small right now. So we're going to take the font size, we're going to jack that up to 12, and let's actually select a thicker font like Arial Black. Boom, that's what we're talking about here. So this is much more in my face. This is perfect for me. So I like that. The next thing and the last thing I want to show you on the time and sales is how to only show orders above a certain size. So for me, I don't really care about orders that are less than 100 shares, specifically for the low float stocks that I trade because they are lower priced. So orders under 100, they really don't mean much. So I'm going to come over here to settings and we're going to go to symbol. And then here you have the option to show only trades that are greater or equal to 100 shares. And we're going to hit OK there, and now I should never see any orders less than 100. All right, next thing we're going to do is set up some hotkeys. Now, TradeStation has some nice hotkeys. The only thing that they're lacking is the ability to sell a percentage of your position. I'd also like a hotkey that I could edit a quantity, such as over here, to say 500, and I could hit a button and it would buy whatever quantity I have selected over here. Currently, the way I have it set up is I have a bunch of different hotkeys bound to different order sizes. So there might be a way to do this. I'm not totally sure. So if anybody knows, please leave a comment in the video. I'd greatly appreciate that. But in the meantime, let's get into it. Let's set up some hotkeys. So we're going to go to View, Shortcuts, Macros. And we're going to create a new order entry macro. Let's select Order Entry Macro. And for me, I only trade equities, so I don't have options, futures, or forex selected. If you're the same, I would just suggest only checking equities. And let's hit next. Make sure send the order is selected up here. Choose active symbol. So whatever symbol is active, I think on the trade bar here will be the symbol that it trades. And then do specific quantity. Again, it has this order entry preferences quantity, but I'm not sure where that order entry preferences quantity exists. So if anybody knows, again, let me know. But for now, we're just gonna do a specific quantity. We'll do 100, and we're gonna do next. Now, just going back here, you can use the position quantity. So for sell hotkeys, this is a great one to use if you just want to get out of your position for like a market sell hotkey. This is a good one to use. Just check use position quantity. Whatever your current position is, it'll just sell. It'll make an order using that position quantity. But for now, I'm just gonna use 100. We're gonna hit next. We just hit next here. This is just the account. And then we can configure what is the action. Do we want to buy or do we want to sell? In this case, I'm going to set up one to buy. The order type is going to be a limit. And then we have a bunch of different types of orders. So I'm going to go through what these orders mean with you. Join is going to join the ask or it's going to join the bid if you're buying. It's going to join the ask if you're selling. Improve is going to be improve the bid. So if I hit improve, this increment is going to light up. So for a buy order, I can improve the bid by 1 cent or any of these quantities or any of these increments here. Split, I've never used, but I believe this splits the bid and the ask. Shave, I'm not totally sure what shave does. If I'm being totally honest, I think shave would probably buy at the ask minus the increment. I'm not totally sure. So again, another one to put in the comments if you know. Hit plus take is one that I use pretty frequently. This one's going to hit the ask. If I'm buying, it's going to hit the ask. I'm not totally sure what the difference is between the hit and take and just selecting ask. I do know that you can't use hit slash take or improve or split or shave. You can't use any of those in the pre-market. So just be aware of that. If you're going to trade pre-market, you have to select the duration over here to be day plus, and you have to use bid or ask. So hit take is gonna buy on the ask, and then hit slash take plus is gonna buy on the ask plus whatever this increment is. And you know, all of this works in the opposite direction if we're selling. We also have some cool features if we hit advanced here, like only showing a certain quantity. I don't use any of these features, but this is kind of cool that we could do this. So if I wanted to buy, say, 5,000 shares, but I only wanted to show the market that I'm buying maybe 1,000 shares, I could just hit this box over here and do show only 1,000. So once those 1,000 are bought, it would automatically re-add 1,000 to the bid. All right, so now I'm gonna hit next. We're gonna type a name for this macro. I like to do, my naming convention is whether it's buy or sell, the share size amount, and then the order type. So in this case, I forget even what I selected. We're going to pretend like I selected take. So this is going to buy 100 take, which is going to buy on the ask. And then if it's pre-market, I'll put a pre-market like that, but this one is not pre-market, so I'm going to name it that. The description I don't care about. And then this is important if you want your order to execute immediately. You have to uncheck this display confirmation window. I don't like it to play a beep either. It will play a beep automatically when you get filled on your order, so you don't need the extra beep of the hotkey being pressed. And now that we've finished that, you can see we have buy 100 take set up in our order entry macros. So at this point we have a macro created, but we don't have a hotkey assigned to it. So how we're going to do that is make sure we've selected our macro, and then come down here to hotkeys, and just like we did for our chart drawings, we're going to click inside of this box. We're going to set up our hotkey. For me, it's going to be, we'll do Control Shift E, and I'm going to hit assign, and it's going to give you a warning if something's already assigned to that. For me, I don't care about this particular hotkey, so yeah, sure, we'll overwrite that. And now I have a hotkey. All right, some tips and tricks for you guys. you'll notice that there's a lot of kind of space taken up by these header bars, right, where we can exit out, we can make full screen, these linkages. We don't really need these window headers. So how we can get rid of that is go up to File, go to go to Preferences, Desktop, go to View, and then do Hide All Title Bars. Let's click OK. And so now all of those go away. If you do want to access those again, just go back to File, Preferences, Desktop, and you can either only show them for the active window or show them for all as I had selected before. And staying on this screen, you probably have something that's this bar that's at the bottom of your screen here that's showing your account number, it's showing your P&L for the day, that kind of stuff, whether the trading server is live or whatnot. If you want that, you can keep that by checking this box up here. But if you don't want that, you can uncheck that and just select Workspace bar, which is going to show you the different workspaces down here. If you don't want the Workspace bar, which I do because I switch between multiple workspaces every day. If you don't want the Workspace bar though, you can uncheck that. You can show nothing, or you can just show the status bar. So if you're going to be actively trading on a pretty low time frame, you're probably not going to want a lot of confirmations asking you if you really want to make this order, because time is of the essence. So if you want to turn off those validations and confirms, we're going to go up here to File, Preferences, Order Entry, and you were probably landed on the Account Alias tab within General. Now the Account Alias tab shows my account number, so I cut out that part of the video, but if you're going to be screen sharing, you're going to be recording yourself and showing other people, you're probably not going to want your account number being shown, so you can contact their support and have them set up an alias so that instead of an account number, you can see over here that my account number is actually this alias. Now going back to our validations and confirms, go ahead and click this tab under Equities, Validations and Confirms, and you can see how mine is configured. I don't know what the default is, but you should probably turn off all the confirms over here if you don't want them, as well as any of the warnings unless you want those as well. Now TradeStation actually allows you to locate shares to go short on for hard to borrow stocks. Now, if you want to short hard to borrow stocks, it's actually free to do with TradeStation, which is pretty cool. However, since it's free to do, a lot of people locate these shares super early in the day, and if you're not kind of the first one to go get those shares, it can be tough to find them. So it is tough to locate shares, but it is free to do. So I'm going to show you how to get that location tool right now. If you don't have this page already, you might have it by default as a workspace, the TS Today workspace. If you don't, just go up to Help, go to Get Help, and go to TS Today. Once you're on the screen, go to the Trading App Store. And you're probably going to have to log in, but once you do, you're going to just type in intraday short locate. And you should get an application that looks like this. Just go ahead and install that. So once you've installed that, you might have to restart TradeStation, but after you do, go ahead, come back to TradeStation, open up a new workspace. And I actually have one already over here. I'm going to go to my short locate workspace. This is the short locate application. Now I think to add the short locate application, what you have to do is File, New Application, and you should see it in this list, I believe. I don't see mine for whatever reason, but it should be here. And once you add it, then you can just create a new request. You can punch in an account number, you can punch in a symbol, and the quantity of shares that you want to locate. In my experience, the less shares you want to locate, the more likely you are to get those shares. So best of luck with that. All right, folks, that is the end of my TradeStation tutorial. If I missed anything or you want me to cover anything else, please let me know in the comments below and I will do it. If you're looking for a strategy to trade the markets, you want to trade super quick, I'm talking like 1 to 5 second orders, tons of content on this YouTube channel for that type of trading. Also check us out at diptraders.net, and as always guys, have a great day and I'll see you in the next video.